stop being lazy, hit the subscribe button,
If you don't subscribe, you hate puppies.
and watch the videos from start to finish. They're not that bad. Welcome back to the Netman podcast, everybody. This is episode 24. Hopefully we got that right, finally. And tonight we are interviewing a couple guys from Boat Things out of Columbus, Ohio. They deal with everything boat rigging, electronics, wiring, just making your whatever kind of fishing platform you're in better, more efficient, and just optimized for the way that you fish. So we are pumped to have them on. We haven't really talked boats yet as far as like aftermarket stuff. So hopefully there'll be a wealth of knowledge for us.
For sure. These guys know their stuff. If you need something done on your boat, they're in Columbus, but people come from out of state to go to these guys, and we're going to have Patrick, Henry, and Nick Balmer. A couple good kids, man. Ties with the Ohio State bass fishing team, which Boat Things proudly sponsors as well, and we kind of help out there too. So big group of good people. Been wanting to get these guys on for a while and kind of nerd out on some of this stuff. So yeah, let's rip it.
Yeah. So with further ado,
let's go.
Let's go. So guys, just kind of quickly introduce yourselves. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and what you're all about. Other way.
My camera's flipped. My bad.
It's perfect.
We're just a couple of amateurs. I'm Nick Balmer, originally from Zanesville, so Blue Rock's kind of been a cool thing for me the last few years. But yeah, moved to Columbus when I started going to Ohio State and met a lot of the OSU bass guys and kind of went in head first with everything and got over to Boat Things, and we've just been continually trying to grow there, the rigging side, as well as being able to open up a tackle shop this year and trying to strive for like the niche spot in Columbus where we're offering stuff you can't really find anywhere. So it's a brief snapshot.
Nick, how long have I known you? What's it been? 3 years now? 4 years? 5 years? Something like that?
I think 5 years.
Yeah. My name's Patrick. I'm originally from the state of New Jersey. I grew up fly fishing, bass fishing, doing whatever I could. But my dad's and his side of the family is all from Ohio, so I grew up a Buckeye fan. And then when I wanted to go to college, I wanted to go to Ohio State. So I went to the Ohio State University. And I knew nobody here. Just being out of state, didn't have any friends. I looked for a club to join, and I saw there was a bass fishing club at Ohio State. And I was like, yeah, that's right up my alley. So I joined, and then from there, it's grown into my passion and my career. And I've met some of my best friends, like Nick, for example. So I love it, and I've been able to, I went to school. I thought I wanted to do civil engineering, went through a couple different majors, graduated with natural resource management, and now I work on boats, and I love it. It's just because I joined the bass fishing club, I found my career passion, and I love working in the fishing industry. So it's been a cool ride over the last few years.
Yeah, bass fishing is way cooler than engineering anyway.
Absolutely.
Pays way better too.
Yeah. Well, guys, thanks for coming on. I mean, I'm excited to have you guys. One, just because my wiring in my boat's just a bird's nest, and I've got all the toys on it, and it's a disaster. So hopefully you can guys get me straightened out. So I guess, what are you guys seeing? I guess as far as the evolution of the electronics industry, what guys are getting, like when they bring their boats in, like what do they have? What are they trying to upgrade to? And what's that process look like?
I would say the standard now is 3 to 4 fish finders on every boat. Maybe 1 or 2 at the console, definitely 2 up front. just because of the way things are going, a live scope for everybody. Everybody's, whether it's, allowed in your circuit, whether you like it or you don't like it, mostly everybody is adding one just because they feel like they have to have it.
Gotcha.
So, like, what kind of volume are you guys seeing? Like, how's the boat sales in general, the boat rigging? Like, what's that side of the economy doing?
I mean, from numbers wise, we've doubled business from the last 2 years. Like 2 years ago, like this year, we're already almost double that. And it's just been like growing almost exponentially.
So, how long have you guys worked at Boat Things, each of you?
I'm the newbie, other than Owen. Other than Owen, of course.
Owen's
I've been there.
Yeah, the intern. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been there about a year and a half.
How about you, Patrick?
I think. I don't know these numbers off the top of my head, so I refer to my LinkedIn profile whenever I want to answer that question, just because it keeps track and I don't. I looked the other day. It was actually August 4 years ago I started working. So I've been working for Dennis over there for 4 years now. I started part-time. Nice. And then, once I graduated, he's like, you want to work full-time? And I was like, yeah, I don't want to do a job search. I don't want to go through all that. I love what I'm doing. It's like a family over there. So yeah, 4 years I've been there now, and it's grown every year. It's crazy. And I think one of the really enduring, parts about our business, which is really nice, is whether boat sales for dealers are going well or not. It works for us because if people are buying new boats, obviously they want them rigged. If people aren't buying new boats, they might want to put a little bit less money, but some money into their own boat and improve it. So it's a really nice middle ground.
Yeah, that's a point Sean Weeda made when he was on here. He said when boat sales slow down, they've got a huge service side, and people tend to, put some money into an existing boat or buy an older boat and fix it up. And you guys have a freaking perfect niche for that. So good for you guys on that. How about like the lithium battery stuff and all that? Are you seeing a ton of guys like transfer over to I saw you guys are dealing Miller Tech now. Like, is that a trendy thing that's going on or something that's happening frequently?
Absolutely. I mean, we all can attest. I don't think we'd run a boat without lithiums. If you look at like the long-term savings you get out of it, with most of those companies offering a 10-year warranty, it's a no-brainer, especially just with the increasing drop in quality control we're seeing out of the lead acid batteries that just can't keep up with, their loss of the market share.
Yeah.
We're seeing batteries that used to last 3 to 4 years limping after the first year, and it leaves a bad taste in people's mouths. And it's just a lot easier to set their boats up with lithium batteries. It makes their electronics work better. They're getting consistent voltage throughout the day. Don't really have to worry about anything. And it just takes like the thinking out of, your power supply portion of fishing, which, at least when I'm fishing, I don't want to have to worry about anything else. I'm just going out trying to catch something. So
there's a lot of benefits, and that could be a whole different, that could be a whole conversation of the benefits and pros and cons of it. But the biggest things are, they're simple. There's no chemical reaction going on like there is in a lead acid. They last a lot longer comparatively. Like once you actually look into it and break down, a Group 31 12-volt lead acid battery, what's a standard, guys have 4 or 5 of them in their boat, and they might be rated for 90 amp hours. Well, for example, that battery, a lead acid, 2/3 of that is called a charge cycle. So you're looking at 60 amp hours or so of actual usage out of that battery. Whereas a lithium, if you got 100 amp hours, that's 100 amp hours of charge, and guys will take these out and fish a full tournament and come back with 70% of their battery left. So you can go and fish 2-3 days with that. Or say you go take a weekend trip to St. Clair and you're at a motel and you plug your batteries in overnight. somebody in the parking lot, trips over your cable, unplugs your charger, or it just maybe the outlet just shorts out. Something happens. We've all been there.
Oh,
You
yeah.
wake up and your batteries aren't charged. With a lithium battery, even if it's at 70%, you got 2 or 3 days left out of it still. So it's peace of mind, really.
Yeah.
Well, that was one of my questions. Like from the rigging side, with the demand for 4 screens, 2 black boxes, a 360 transducer. I mean, all the stuff that's going into a boat. Like, what? I guess where's that threshold for there being a need to switch over to lithium? Like, how much is too much that a lead acid just truly can't handle it?
I don't know if it's necessarily a too much for them, but if you're running 4 graphs, live scope and 360, and you're running, if you're doing one battery, if you're doing a house battery and a cranking battery, it eats away at the charge. And like with a lead acid battery, as soon as you start using it, you start dropping in voltage. And the more and more you drop, the more you use it, you're getting less and less voltage to each item as they draw amperage. So as it starts to, decrease, you start getting low voltage alarms at the front of the boat. And then you start kind of panicking.
Yeah.
And you're not getting the most out of all the money that you paid for your graphs. That's the biggest thing, is you drop in voltage, they're not working as well as they do. I mean, it's like when you get low on a drill battery charge, the thing starts kind of kicking out on you. It's not, full charge, not working as well. It's the same thing with fishing electronics.
Yeah.
And
go ahead.
And Nick and I can both attest to this. In my old boat, I had an X2 AGM battery, 31, one cranking battery. It ran 4 graphs, 3 hummingbirds, a live scope, old 360, LVS 32. And I'd charge it, and it was a great battery. Like it held and it powered things throughout the day. By the end of the day, I was down to like 11.2, 11.1 volts.
Yeah.
And the more you dig into it, like that's why guys are running drill batteries or 24-volt batteries and stuff for their live scope. Sonar itself benefits from more voltage. The hotter you can run it, the more detail it's going to have, the clearer it's going to show up, the brighter it's going to show up. So like I ran that battery for a while, and my things, like it ran everything, but I paid a bunch of money for these fish finders, and it wasn't living up to the performance that they could offer. They could be better, So Nick did the same thing. Nick had, I believe, 31 lead acids in his boat, and he was getting low voltage alarms by the end of the day. And now it's nothing we have to even worry about now that we've switched.
Right. I was just going to ask you, Patrick or Nick. So say, in my boat, say I have 2 10s at the bow, 2 10s at the console, live scope, 360. Are you just delegating all those to just one dedicated lithium battery? Or how are you dividing those up into different lithium batteries, or combining it? Or
Yeah, I guess just tell us what a typical battery electronics setup looks like that you guys install.
Well, it's really in the eyes of the beholder, I think. And that's, we try to present what we think and what we like from our personal experiences will work best. But there's a bunch of different ways to attack it. I myself like simplicity, so I run one cranking battery that does everything. And I have a dedicated wire harness to my electronics. I really don't have any interference. It's a real nice setup. I got one charger in the back of my boat, 4 batteries, 3 12 volts that make 36 for my trolling motor, and then a 190 amp hour MillerTech. And I'll fish a tournament, and I'll have 80% of my battery left, and I'm running 4 12-inch graphs, a live scope, and a 360. And especially during summer, I'll run my pumps on constant all day long. And that draws power too. So, and I'll get off the water and have 80%. There's a lot of people who like the isolation. They'll run a house battery for some electronics, and that's by no means a bad idea. The further you can isolate your electronics from everything else, the clearer the picture is going to be. But that's where you get into adding a fifth battery, a house battery. You might have to add a 5 bank charger instead of a 4 bank. Or maybe some people run it on a 16-volt battery they put in their rod locker. So then you got to put a charger in there. You got to have 2 outlets to plug things into. It's really, all personal preference. I don't think there's a wrong way to do it, but we try to cater to what specific needs are and what somebody wants to achieve out of their boat more than anything.
That
No,
makes sense.
like I'd love to just have like my cranking battery and like feeding my electronics. But like in the back of my brain, like I just can't clear that hurdle because what if my motor doesn't crank because I've been sucking juice all day and I need to get back to the ramp? You know what I mean? Like,
So I think Nick and I carry a WeGo jump pack in my boat. And the reason I did it, so the setup I have in my boat is I got one cranking battery that does my motor and all my electronics. It's 190 amp hour, the biggest 12-volt MillerTech makes right now. And then I have three 12-volt 100 amp hour trolling motor batteries. I have a Minn Kota precision charger in there. I didn't want to change it. I just wanted to go with that. And just for my boat specifically too, I could have done a single 36-volt battery and had plenty of power for my trolling motor. But doing the 12-volt batteries, I didn't have to change the charger. My boat likes a little more weight in the rear of it, so that helped add a few pounds back. And then that way too, I can have one of those jump switches. I can actually jump my starting battery off one of my trolling motor batteries, given a emergency situation. So
okay,
that's an option that you have there.
nice.
Tell me, is there any difference, or is this personal preference also, between having the three 12-volt lithiums other than just buying the single 36-volt, combined like as one battery? Is there a benefit or pro or con to doing that either way?
You get more capacity out of doing 312s as opposed to a single 36-volt battery. Like if you were to do the 3660 that MillerTech has, if you
Okay.
want the same juice as 312s, you can just get two of their 3650s and run them
Okay.
together. So it equates, the same, but I'm in the same situation as Pat. My boat likes weight in the back. It's a 2013, and they were designed for heavier batteries back then, and it
Yeah.
performs better with weight. But yeah, it's the same thing. We refer to it as redundancy, where you get like that extra utility out of running, three 12-volt batteries, where you can jump your starting battery if you absolutely need to. And we wire that for people all the time, where when you go to turn your main power on, if you just click it one more, you're jumping your starting battery from your
Oh,
low side
nice.
trolling motor battery.
Nice.
And a big thing too off of that is let's say you go to the single battery for a single 24 or a single 36. You get weight savings, you get space savings, especially for older boats where maybe you have a two-stroke motor and an oil tank in the back, or just not a lot of room. You get a lot more weight and space by doing that. But maybe as you go to these newer boats or just down the road too, like you go from 3 batteries to 1 battery with a 36-volt battery, you got a bunch of extra room. That's
Yeah.
one thing we try to, because lithium battery is an investment. It's expensive. They're not
Right.
cheap. So if you save up the money and you get one now, that'll work. And like I said, the smaller ones they make, like the 36-volt 60 amp hour, that's going to last you for 2-3 days for a bass fisherman. But you can always, because now you have room and you have a 36-volt battery down the road, say money gets a little bit better or you want more capacity, you can always add a second one and put it in parallel. Now you have double the capacity, you have double the redundancy, you have a little bit of protection for yourself. So there's a million different options you can go down.
Right. Now that was more me asking because of, for personal reasons, like you mentioned. I've got an older Stratus. It's got the oil box, and I've got to take out every battery in there to get to a live well pump down. So I was leaning towards just buying the single 36-volt battery just for convenience of just working on stuff basically, and lighten up the rear end and all that. But yeah, makes sense. But just like you said, every situation's a little bit different, and every older boat lays out a little bit different. And you're not wrong. The new boats have way more convenient working space back there.
Yeah. Yep.
Some of them.
Some
Not
of
all
them.
of them. Some of them.
You ever
I'm big.
had
I don't fit in a lot of those things. So.
you ever had to work on an old Cajun just with them 2 little holes to stick your arms down in back there? Those things are the worst.
Yeah, I mean, not those specifically, but there's a ton of instances where you can tell that boat was rigged before the top cap got put on.
Right. Yeah, that's
Yeah, like, I'm not fitting in there.
Well, and just the evolution of marine electronics in the last 4 years. I think, when did LiveScope come out? LiveScope came out in 2018.
Yeah.
Like, it's maybe 2019. It's really not that old.
Mm-mm.
And a lot of people have boats that are not 2018 or newer. So people had no idea that this kind of capacity was going to be given. And this is something we can get into, later on too. But we do a lot of wiring harnesses and rewiring because these electronics draw so much more power and they need it. And, you'll have problems. And a lot of older boats, and it's not their fault, they just didn't foresee this. It was something, you had one 7-inch fish finder at the console for mapping and some side scan, and one up front for your 2D sonar. And that was what you fished with. They didn't need to draw power now that you have 3 12-inch graphs up front and a live scope and all that. So
I think I seen it probably 3 or 4 years ago. The EA Clear Power harness. And that was kind of my first introduction to the whole like clean wiring system, clean power, dedicated wiring. So I guess them aside, like what would you guys consider like the essential for having that type of system and rigging up a boat? Like, what kind of talk us through that? Like, what do you guys do? What's your preference? And what do I need on my boat?
I mean, the biggest thing that we do, I think, in comparison to like the assembled harnesses that you can buy online is, they're made to the boat, and they're made to, which you can kind of go in on some of them now and select what graphs you have and how many connections you need. But we kind of orient those systems to be able to diagnose on the water. Like if you blow a fuse, we want you to be able to, go find that fairly easily and then get back to fishing. Like that's, all of our boats are rigged that way. It's how we want everybody else to be able to operate. Simplicity, ease of use. But I mean, when we're installing a wire harness, the biggest thing is just, eliminating all of the connections that you have, like off of the factory boat wiring, because usually it's a really small gauge. So we use larger gauge wiring, and just try to simplify the amount of connections that we have where, stuff can come loose. I mean, if you're fishing Erie or big water or anything like that, you're just going to constantly have like connections coming undone. And so we try to mitigate that by eliminating connections, using larger gauge wire, and just making it as simple as possible.
So I guess talk me through from the battery to the fuse block or direct to the electronics. Like what does that setup look like? Like gauge, wire, connection types, like all that.
So that's, I think, one thing that we do specifically. Like I just pulled up on my phone. There's a few wiring harnesses you can look on. Like you type in wire harness. It's a buzz term in the fishing industry. It's a wire harness is direct power from your battery to your devices that bypasses a lot of connections, a lot of boat wiring. And the reason it exists and the reason it is effective is because when you have your battery at your back of your boat and you run to the front of your boat, 18, 19, 20, 21 foot by the time the wire curves around and runs up, there is a mathematical calculation for voltage drop. So as you run over a length of distance, you lose voltage. So the bigger wire you can have, the more voltage it actually carries over that distance and delivers to your fish finder at the front of the boat. So that's, numbers we have, and Nick and I have both gone and got certified for our NEMA certifications, which is the National Marine Electronics Association, and they kind of hold us to a standard of doing this stuff. And it's a lot of installation practices that's just doing it the right way, but we've learned a lot from that in terms of what is the right way to do it, and from these calculations, what is overkill. Because we like going the overkill route, because if you go overkill, you're going to avoid a lot of problems. You're never going to have a fish finder shut off like when you start the motor, or your low voltage alarm come off. So for that, when you have a wire harness, generally we figure out what you have on your boat, and there's an equation. Like, say you give me some numbers. Say you have 2 helixes, a Lowrance and a Garmin, and a 360 and a live scope, and you tell me like what specific sizes they are. There's a published manufacturer amp draw on those. So I'll sit down and I'll write those down, and I'll make a calculation of what that amp draw per hours is. That gives us a good idea of what size battery you need to last for a full day or longer. And then based off where stuff is and how far away it is from the battery, we can figure out what wire size is overkill, where it will negate that voltage drop over the length it's running. So you say your battery is putting out 13 volts, you're getting 12.9, 13 volts at that unit.
So like, if based on those calculations, if it says I need a 8-gauge wire to run 20 feet, you guys up it to 6, and then you're just set, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Absolutely.
Part of the reason for my question on the Clear Power harness system, because I did some research and I wanted to isolate my electronics, and really what they were offering really wasn't anything that you couldn't find just on the market, right? Like, I could order all those components and just do it myself if I wanted to. So what's the benefit of a system like that versus getting the 6-gauge wire that's shielded and all this other stuff?
The biggest thing that the marine wire harnesses are is tinned copper marine wire. And anybody can go and buy big wire at Home Depot or Lowe's. The reason you use this tinned marine wire, and it is more expensive, and again, for freshwater boats, it's not as big of a deal. But if say you have a saltwater boat, or even just a freshwater boat, and maybe you keep it outside, or just it gets damp, it doesn't dry out the day or the second you get off the water, the tinned marine wire is a lot more corrosion resistant, so you're not going to build up corrosion and electrolysis and stuff like that. And then it's a lot more pliable. It's really bendy and easy to work with and run throughout a boat, especially in tight corners or older boats where there's foam and there's tubes you got to get stuff through. Whereas if you buy wire from Home Depot, it's house wire. It's thick. It's hard to work with. So and you can buy the components. And like I said, I just looked up a couple prices. People are paying $400 for a pre-assembled harness that they can ship to their door. We offer a wire harness for $500 installed, and it's tailored to your boat, cut to length, includes a master power switch at the battery, the necessary fuses for everything, because a lot of times the harnesses you order offline, they come with a 10 amp fuse for everything. A Mega 360 wants a 1 amp fuse, so if you put a 10 amp fuse in that and that thing starts circuiting out, it's going to blow up that 360 before that fuse ever blows. So that's one reason. I guess another reason too is a lot of these harnesses come with pretty much glorified wire nuts, where it's easy to use, it's easy to assemble. You take your red and your black and you put it in and you just screw down a connection. Well, a lot of times in a boat, you have a lot of vibration on the trailer to the lake, on the lake itself, and just heat changes. A lot of times through the spring and the fall, you have the warm days and the cold evenings. Things are contracting and expanding, and that works connections like that loose. So one thing we do is we use all crimp connected heat shrink connectors. So everything's waterproof. Everything is with a hydraulic crimper secured and tested to make sure it's not going to pull out or come loose. So that's a big thing of why we do what we do for that.
Speaking of those screw type connectors, like you basically stick a wire in each side and there's like a little cap that kind of screws together. I actually had 2 of those, just with heat expansion and contraction, like crack and break, they exploded.
Yeah, they cause fires. They really do. I mean, when it gets loose and they start arcing, like that is a fire causer in boats, 100%. And we see a ton of it. We'll get to something and we'll open a compartment up to, I don't know if we're just repairing wiring or trying to find when somebody's nav lights are working, and we'll open it up and it just smells burnt. Usually the wire nuts are an indicator.
I'm sitting here thinking how it's probably a daily basis you guys make fun of somebody who rigs something on a boat, and I'm almost insecure to bring mine up there.
Right. I'd rather my boat just catch on fire and claim the insurance.
You'll never hear about it. We'll never do it to your face.
Exactly. But behind your back,
Yeah.
But that's the thing. Wire nuts are so easy and they're so common in house wiring and whatnot. But you got to think, a house isn't going down the lake. It's not going down the road. It's static. Right. You know, it's not dealing with that vibration, and it's maybe you got a lot of insulation, so it's not dealing with the temperature changes. I mean, I would say probably a dozen or 2 dozen times every fall and every spring, we get guys, like there's probably a dozen or more of these calls every fall and every spring of somebody's trolling motor is not working. And we get the trolling motor, we test it, it's fine. So they come and bring their boat by, and what do? We put a wrench on their trolling motor battery or batteries, and you get a half turn or a full turn out of that nut on that battery. And that's all it was. It's just the heat change, and works the connection loose. That's the biggest thing.
Yep. I've actually had that happen to me. That just worked its way loose for whatever reason. I'm just still stuck on the cob jobs in my boat. You got me thinking about just little runs of wire with 2 or 3 wire connectors on them, or just because you're in a hurry, you're like troubleshooting why a unit won't start, but you want to fish the next day, and then you realize like you forget, but you just leave crap like that.
And Nick can attest. Like all of us who work at boat things are fishermen or tournament anglers. It's not electricians. I mean, we're not random guys. We all do it. None of us want to have a problem on the water. We don't want to have a tournament ruined by a problem. So we try to make everything foolproof, and we get it. We want to have the most, solid setup you can have. If you call us back with a problem, that is that's worst case scenario. We as much as we like seeing you, we don't want to hear from you. We want you to come get stuff set up and not hear from you for boat related reasons.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about batteries, wiring, electronics. What else, what other services do you guys offer at Boat Things as far as maybe accessories or live well stuff, like something outside of the electronics game?
Really good conversation.
Well, that's why you're here.
You got Owen there. He's probably entertaining, to say the least. Probably got
he talks for sure.
we got a lot of yappers around. We for sure do.
Yeah, that is definitely our specialty. We'll talk to you.
The daily bass club meeting probably shows up there, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
We got our cronies who show up, a couple times.
So stepping back a little bit, just like as far as evolution of Boat Things, was it always Boat Things, or was it something else that evolved? I feel like I've heard like a story at some point where like it was something else that kind of kept spinning into like what it is today. And then I think I'm going to give you guys a pat on the back, but you hear more and more about Boat Things, especially like the last couple of years, and I think you guys are a big part of that. So you're doing a good job. But anyways, what was Boat Things before Boat Things?
Just boat stuff.
Boat stuff. So, like I said, I've worked for Dennis for 4 years now. August next month on his birthday. He bought the company on his birthday, September. It's either the 21st or the 23rd. If he sees this, he's going to be mad at me tomorrow for remembering his birthday. But it was September 15 years ago, come next month, that he purchased the company. Wow. And it was he was an auto mechanic for his whole life, and he's got many, many certifications for pretty much every car manufacturer. He's a mechanic through and through.
Yeah.
So he knows how stuff works, and a lot of stuff we're dealing with is 12, 24, and 36 volts. It's not super complicated stuff and not stuff that can kill you like house wiring.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there's intricacies, and there's a reason why we have a business, and most dealers in the state refer all that kind of work to us because it's just we do it every day. And you can do it at your house, you can do it in your driveway, but there's a better way to do it, and we try to adhere by that and do it. So when he purchased it, it was a trolling motor repair business and mobility scooters. So like the little carts you see people ride around in Walmart.
Okay, that makes sense.
Because you'd be surprised how similar they are, how different of an application is, but how similar of a technology those two things are. Just the steering and the wiring and the motors in them. So he bought that, and he did it for the first 8 years in a 10x14 shed in his backyard over on Morse Road.
Wow.
Guys would come in, drop trolling motors off, get them worked on. And he just built up a reputation and a business name, and guys wanted to have him start installing stuff for. So there's companies like PowerPole, for example, he had a hard time getting in the door with because he didn't have a brick and mortar store. But guys were coming to him constantly wanting to buy and have power poles installed. So they, approved him as a dealer, and he started becoming a dealer, not just servicing stuff, but being a dealer. And he's grown, and from there, and a couple of years before I started working for him, he had boats getting delivered to his house to get stuff installed on, and it's right on Morse Road. Guys would have to back in across 4 lanes of traffic to get their boat into under where his carport was. So it reached a point where he had to get a business, and he started with our coworker Randy, and they started working in a shop, and it just grew from there astronomically. And he can attest, and this is one of the things he said, right? I started working for him right during COVID. And COVID was one of the best things for him because so many people got outside, got outdoors, either bought a new boat or fixed an old boat and wanted to get it rigged up and installed and ready to fish. So that was the big springboard into what we're doing now. And then Nick and I have brought on a lot of increased capacity and some knowledge, and it's grown exponentially, which has been awesome to be part of.
Yeah, that's great, man. That's COVID was a shot in the arm, a steroid shot in the arm for any of us in the outdoor industry. And it sucks saying it, helped because so much bad stuff happened with COVID, but like it did help us all, like at least in our little niche. So that's cool though. I knew there was something I remembered hearing about the electric scooter. It was a long time ago, but that's what I was wondering. So good stuff.
We moved last August, and there were so many of those damn wheels just laying around the shop. We might have one of those in a couple months. We might need to keep those. I'm like,
there's still like 2 or 3 people, if they call and want a scooter fixed, Dennis will do it. But for the most part, like, because he had contracts with companies to do warranty work and authorized repairs, and obviously we're busy with what we do now. I mean, you can say the same thing for Tackle Warehouse. They started as a tennis retailer. It just whatever the business grows into. And obviously Dennis fished, and he didn't have a mobility scooter. He had no passion for that either. So obviously you're going to do what you want to do too.
Yep. So I'm going to ask, like, take me through a typical. I live a couple hours away, and I'm sure you guys, dealing with bass fishermen, they probably want their boat back right now. Like, so like a standard appointment there. Do you guys have like a set turnaround time, or do you make appointments, or how does that all work? Say I'm bringing my boat up and I want you to put a new battery in a harness, or something like that. How do you guys set something like that up?
I think up until we just recently relocated to, I guess not recently anymore, it's been almost a year, to the facility that we're at now, where they let us build the tackle shop on. And I think that's the first time in the period of time that Dennis has owned it that there's been enough space to have a loaded schedule like that. And before, it was kind of limited with how much space we had at the prior shop, and of course at his house. But we're getting more and more people in throughout the week. really it is based on a schedule, but very rarely does, a single battery swap end up just being a battery swap. Usually there's some other issues that we identify and can help with, or, they already have a list that they come in with. So whenever we schedule people, if it's something simple, we'll, have it for a day or two, or, but a lot of them we schedule for the week. Like we'll have it Monday through Friday. Just with the space that we have, we don't stock a ton of stuff. So everything is really like catered to exactly what the customer wants, and we'll get it ordered and we'll put it in.
Yeah. Yep. I was just curious. Like I said, these tournament guys, we've got a boat mechanic down this way. He's an awesome dude, and he's bailed me out before. But like you drop your boat off, and you don't know if it's going to be a week or 30 days. So I guess I was just wondering if you can kind of if you did what you said you did, or give a heads up, like going to be a week or a day or whatever.
Yeah, we are super upfront about it, because I mean, like we all fish tournaments, so we understand like the constraints, and like, I mean, we're super flexible with people. Like, hey, I mean, we had it happen last week. We got, a portion of the stuff done. There were some parts on back order that we needed, so he came and got it, fished over the weekend, and then brought it back. And we finished it like the day that the parts came in. So we try to be as flexible as possible, and I mean, we understand emergencies.
You get it.
And try to cater to those as much. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And that's the thing too. I mean, you can obviously, we're a service related business, and that's the bulk of what we do. We try to fix things, install things. You can buy the stuff from us. You can buy the stuff from Cabela's or Bass Pro Shops or wherever you'd like. One thing we try to prioritize too, and we might not be able to offer or match a Black Friday sale Cabela's is doing, and sometimes we can, but we try to back it up with the service. And especially if you buy something from us, that means a lot to us. You might not have saved that 10% off the item price, but if you have something wrong, or you have a warranty repair, let's say a hummingbird has an issue and you bought that hummingbird from us, we're going to have you like come by, drop that off. We'll call Hummingbird for you. You don't have to. We'll get the RMA number. We'll ship it in, and that means a lot to us just to earn your business. So, and that's how we try to, compensate people for that too.
Nice.
Talking about growing exponentially, you just mentioned adding on a tackle shop. Tell us a little bit about that.
It's been really cool. We've definitely, I think all of us as a group have learned a lot. This is our first like big step into, stocking inventory, and, it's a big investment starting that and having that huge inventory to try to get people in. And a lot of the stuff that we sell is pretty premium. But it was definitely a need that we all saw in our area. I mean, really the only game in town there's 2 big box stores, and then there's Fisherman's Warehouse. But for the stuff that we're really buying, we have to order it, and we were sick of that. I mean, I don't know how far. I think I'd probably have to drive an hour to go find Blue Rock anywhere. Yeah. Or I'd have to order it.
Yeah.
So and there's a huge market for, I mean, just even bass fishing specifically in Columbus, with not enough tackle shops for that customer base.
When I talk to people too, who ask, oh, what do you do for work? And I tell them what I do. They're like, really? Like there's that many boats in Columbus? Not only is there that many boats, I think in Ohio, at least, the number of anglers per capita, it might not be as many as SEC states, but there are so many fishermen in the state of Ohio. It's unbelievable. And then based off what we do too, we're a service center for every brand of trolling motor. We have probably every week we got somebody from West Virginia or Pennsylvania or Indiana coming by, either for a boat repair or a trolling motor repair. So we have a really broad reach. And likewise, when we fish college tournaments, say we went down to Lake Norman, we'd seek out going to Carolina Fishing Tackle because we knew they had a cool tackle shop and they had a bunch of cool stuff you couldn't find anywhere else. Or say you're seek that stuff out, like GTO down at Gunnersville and stuff. So we're trying to be something similar for that to cater to a lot of the people here in Ohio who have never been able to have that before and lay their hands on an expensive reel or an expensive rod before ordering it online and not knowing what they're getting into.
Give us a few examples or name brands that you guys are stocking that are a little bit more challenging to get your hands on here locally.
The biggest ones are probably the Japanese stuff. We're one of a few select dealers in the country for a really large Japanese wholesaler who has been in the game for a very long time and pretty much knows all of the major company owners in Japan. Nori's being one of the big ones, Gancraft, Fish Arrow. We have Megabass JDM stuff. We were able to get some of that right before they, hit the cutoff on it. But yeah, those are. We have Decoy Terminal, which is they make some great stuff.
So
Phoenix Rods.
Phoenix Rods. There you
Yeah,
go.
that's another one that they're a pretty large company, but nobody sells them.
Yeah,
I couldn't tell you anybody
good rods
in the
too.
state that sell. They are good rods.
We've had
They're
a massive
fantastic.
feedback on them.
I saw them at a show last year and fell in love with them. Like the price point made sense. The quality is really, really good, and like getting to know the people, the people that work with us over there. I mean, like for warranty stuff, like they don't care. They're fantastic.
Was the tackle shop kind of you guys' dream, or did you have to twist his arm, or did someone just bring it up one day, or how did that go?
We were moving towards that for a while before I started like working full time. We were getting our website going to try to sell more of the rigging stuff, broader, and that was like a breakout hit. I mean, we sold to 47 states the first year, and
Nice.
I've never built a website before, and
you had people coming and asking to pay you to build their website.
I do not know if they actually want me to do that, but it was super, super rewarding, like having all that happen. Like it was just something worked. It was like figuring out a pattern after not catching anything for a while. It was just like, it was crazy. And I mean, that was a really good sign that like, hey, we can kind of branch out and do stuff.
Yeah.
Do something different than what we've been doing and make it work. And I think the hardest part with convincing Dennis was just selling anything that he throws. You're not allowed to sell those work. You can't sell them.
No, that's got to come off the shelf right now.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's really funny. I mean, and I've known Nick for a long time, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but I remember from like, even because we worked at the Dick's Sporting Goods and the Field and Streams around the Columbus area together when we were both going to Ohio State. And I think one of your biggest dreams was curating and running a tackle shop. And that's what your degree was in at Ohio State. So being able to actually implement that and do it in real life has been awesome.
Yeah, it's been really cool. It's been fun, and we're learning every single day, and we're just trying to, we're just trying to get this still service, because we only want to stock what people want.
Right.
Or stuff that they don't know that they want yet, which is another part of why we have Owen.
Yeah, for sure. Patrick, you gave me a chuckle when you said you run into people that look at you funny when you tell them what you do. When I run into someone, I think they just vision me sitting in an empty room, like stretching a rubber worm all day or something like that. They just can't fathom that many people, bass fish or whatever. And it's like, I try to explain to people, like, the internet's crazy. Like, it's a big part of our business, a big part of us like reaching out, but like, you just got to get out there and do it, man. Like, I don't know. It's just funny. But I'm a believer that you can, make a living in anything you're passionate about. And even if the money isn't the greatest. Like as long as you're happy and making things work, like there's nothing more valuable than loving your job. So, um, seems
Well, I
like you
think
guys are doing
what I really like about Blue Rock is you're not following like the same marketing strategy that like all of the big bait companies that dominate everything, take. You're making a product, people are using it, it works really well. They're telling people about it and buying it because of that. And that's like what the coolest thing about like the Japanese tackle. If the baits make it into like one of the magazines over there or it wins tournaments, like it's getting bought. Like the companies don't dictate like, oh, you got to buy all this stuff this year, yada yada yada. And that's exactly what you've done is you've made like really good products. People like them, and you're
Yeah.
blowing up.
No, I mean, I appreciate it. It doesn't feel like we're blowing up. Like we've grown, I will say that, but like my thing has just always been like simple and solid. Like we know what works. Aaron has thrown at least 100,000 ideas at me that like in my stubborn head like made us come off as like a little gimmicky or whatever, and I'm just like, man, I don't know, like I'm probably too set in my ways, but like it's working, I think. And I feel like for whatever reason like people are just attracted to the little brand we have, whether it's the logo or who the heck knows, but for whatever reason, like it's working a little bit. So we're having fun with it. And like just guys like you, Nick, just supporting us and giving us a shot in your store. Like we've had tons of that, man. So greatly
Well, if
appreciated
I'm
on
gonna
our
catch fish on a jig, I'm gonna keep using the jig. So.
right.
Well, and
Now,
that's we're a small business. We get it.
yeah,
We want to support other ones, especially local ones. And just go into like Nick and I fish Tuesday nights on Alum Creek every week. We show up. A lot of guys have Blue Rock sweatshirts or hats on. A lot of guys have Tyler Burgers, fin fishing sun shirts and shorts on. A lot of guys, most everyone in that parking lot, I can tell, had their boat over to us to work on it and get
right.
us set up. So you want to stay local, you want to support local, you want to grow, but it's a real family oriented feeling at the same time.
It's super tight niche, man. It's tight knit. Even other tackle companies, like pretty good buddies with tons of other guys doing the exact same thing I'm doing. Try not to, try to respect each other, and we all got mouths to feed and bills to pay at the end of the day, and that's what I've always said. It's a big old pie out there, and we all just need a tiny little slice of it to be happy and live our life.
Yeah.
So, work hard and do our thing, and that's all you can really do. So, it's it's a lot easier to just get along and try to help each other out.
100%.
Especially when you see these guys on the water too.
Right.
Yeah.
We all
Right.
fish.
Right. Yeah.
We've talked a lot about bass boats, and Owen's come up a few times. So I want to talk about kayaks for a minute, because you guys rigged out his kayak, correct? And I've seen it, and it's pretty ridiculous. So are you guys seeing more and more of the kayaks coming in? Have you always seen kayaks come in? Like, what's the trend with kayaks right now?
I would say I used to sell kayaks. So like when I was at the big box store, that was a huge portion of like the sales that I made were a ton of kayaks, and a lot of them were higher end. I mean, people were coming in spending $4,000 or $5,000 on a kayak, and then there were several times I referred them over to the boat things to get rigged. That was a huge thing during COVID. Like we literally could not keep kayaks in stock. And I think it is, I mean, there's like a ton of people that are already doing it. I think it's something that's growing as people like where, they were coming in during that time buying $200 kayak, $400 kayak. There's still ways to grow like that, that specific segment of the market where they're going to gravitate within the next few years to something where they would come to see us for that. And we don't see a ton of them where we can like advertise it all the time that we do it, but we'll absolutely work on kayaks. We've worked on several. They're cool. It's fun to see like the setups, and it's just something new.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, a kayak fisherman, a lot of times that's and this isn't knocking an older fellow that runs a kayak, but a lot of times that's an evolutionary step as a guy's working his way to owning a bass boat too. So he may be on a tighter budget or this or that, and
Not
I'm
Owen.
sure not Owen.
Two things Owen says on a daily basis are A, man, this kayak is the net worth of this kayak is worth more than my net worth, and B, man, I'm just looking to try to find a bass boat. So he is constantly in a search. I know it's a stepping stone for him in a regard.
Yeah. He's made a couple comments to me about it, and I told him, man, like, and I've told this story on here, but like Owen came up to me at a show, and it's one of my first shows, but he was like 13 and wanted to put me on his YouTube channel, and he may have told you this whole story, but anyways, like he just kept following me around after that, like at every show I'd see him. So he turned like 15, 16. I got in contact with his mom, and I started taking him like everywhere, and he's been a hell of a little help, like salesman for me. Like, so if he is doing good, I'm taking a little bit of credit for it. Now, if he's being Owen, I know he can be. I know
he's got an infectious personality. He really does.
Man. He's
one
awesome.
of the first times I saw him, I remember. I think he was early on. It was a few years ago. He was in high school, and I was boat captaining for a high school team on Alum Creek, and we're back in a pocket. And all of a sudden, I just hear my name like up from the bank over there, and I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Hey, like I follow you on Instagram." He's walking in the woods on Alum trying to turkey hunt, just walking the bank, and I'm like, "What?" Like he recognized me, and ever since then, like I remember he came in when he was getting this kayak, and he came in and approached me about working with us and whatnot, and it turned into, "Hey, let's do a deal of sorts to get this kayak rigged up, and in return for some promotion," and then it turned into a job, and he's great.
Well, he's going to be like, he's one of those kids that like, he's young and there's a ton of upside, but like, and I keep telling him he's got nothing but time, but like, he is going to find a place just like you guys have to make a career in an industry he loves, just because he's stayed passionate about it. And like, I always told him, if a door opens up, walk through it, like, just be yourself and, be respectful to people. And, but I'm proud of the kid, I guess, long story short. So no, he's a good one. But, yeah,
we even got him to wear a suit and tie for his interview.
I don't want to say anything more about him there. He's going to come strutting in there, but, so who's a guy to beat up at Alum? Let's talk fishing for a couple minutes before we get off here. What's a skinny on? How's a Tuesday night? Or is they biting, or what's going on up there?
That's your turn, Pat. I didn't get to fish last night.
Sounds like neither of them want to talk about it.
I feel like I've been talking a lot.
The juice.
No, you guys are doing awesome.
If you're acting for juice, don't refer to us right now. And it boiled. I wish I spent more time up there, but on my weekends free and whatnot, I'm doing tournaments across the state. I'm going up to Lake Erie whenever I can, and it's a great fishery. I wish I spent more time there. The thing about Alum, especially in the last couple of years, is it's become a dynamic fishery. It is fantastic. But it changes so much week to week. So if you're not on top of it and, you dump in for a little 4-hour Tuesday night tournament, if you're not making the right decisions off the rip, you're way far behind. So shout out to Tyler and CJ. And a lot of us follow Tyler on social media, whether we're buying his fin fishing apparel or following his Bass Fishing HQ YouTube channel. Him and CJ put in the time. They're great anglers. and they are able to stay on them really,
Nice.
really well. I think they've won the points the last few years. I'm going to knock on some wood because I don't want to jinx them. Love those guys. Tyler did some promotion for us. CJ's done a lot of work for us too. He's made the rod racks for our shop, but they're on track to do it again this year. And they're great guys. They will talk to anybody, and they're not going to hide secrets either.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Is it still taking a pretty good weight? I know fish just haven't been biting great, like statewide, but what's it been taking to win up there?
I think it took 16 and change last night.
That's great.
And he gave me a story too. So I was talking to him while he was waiting for us to put the boats on the trailer. They caught their first fish of the night. It was a 3-pound largemouth, and it started bleeding. His partner hooked it in the gills. It was not looking good. Probably would not have lived, and I forget the name of it. But Tyler has a product he promotes that's a blood clotter, helps fish stop bleeding. He poured it on it, stopped the bleeding, and it's a story I've heard from a few different people. But you're holding the fish and you hang it over the side of the boat and you dunk it in the water to try to get some blood off, get it some water, and it just does a violent head shake and jumps free. So they caught this 3-pounder.
No.
He had just revived it, got stopped the bleeding. It turns loose over the side of the boat. So he was beside himself all night, and it ended up not coming back to bite him because 3-pounder probably wouldn't have lived. I think we have a 1/2-pound dead fish penalty. It would have been about 2.5. He said, as long as our smallest fish isn't smaller than a 2.5, we're golden. And I think their smallest was a 288. So he got some, revenge on that. Dennis has the same story. He was up on St. Clair with one of our friends, Randy Tarman, and Randy makes some products for us, Tarman Marine products, some graph mounts.
Randy.
Yeah, he great dude. And one of the things he makes that I love the best is, especially for guys who fish Lake Erie, TH Marine makes a product called a troll tamer. It's the lock that you drill into your trolling motor mount, and it's got a piece on the floor that locks it in, better than the Velcro strap all the trolling motors come with. Well, Randy makes one that instead of having to drill that piece into the mount on your trolling motor, it's a stainless steel bar that replaces that bounce buster on the side of it, that you put that in, and then it locks it down. It's a really nice addition to a trolling motor. But him and Dennis were fishing, I think it might have been the Mega Bass Championship on St. Clair a few years ago, and they caught a fish, and Dennis, poured Mountain Dew down it to stop the bleeding, and he poured the Mountain Dew down it, and that fish got a burst of energy from that, and it did a head shake and bounced over the side of the gunnel and off. So I know plenty of people oh man, that stresses me out.
Brutal.
It happens.
It's happened to all of us. Gosh, yeah, been there for sure.
I did my first kayak tournament 2 weekends ago, and it's a lot tougher than I thought. The very first fish I caught, laid it on my catch board, went to take a picture, it flops into the floor of the kayak, put it back on, go to take a picture again, flops off the boat, don't even get the picture. I was like, I'm going back to my bass boat.
Yeah. Been launching that thing over the spillway.
Right. I'll just do a Viking burial. I'll just push it out to sea and forget this. I'm joking. I'm going to use it for duck hunting.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Yep.
Cool.
But, well, typically we ask the guests to just kind of leave us with some kind of advice or tip or something virtuous that we can use in life. And we're putting you guys on the spot, but since you guys come from the rigging world, I guess something boat related that you guys would recommend the listeners, like if you've got a boat or electronics that you can just kind of recommend, or a tip or something.
What's that one overlooked thing that you just didn't know you need? Nick's digging deep.
I'm
going to insert a little cricket soundtrack.
The visualizer is what comes to my mind real quick. Which that was not planned at all, so that's kind of funny.
What's he got there? Tell us about it.
It's a step up converter. So Garmin black boxes, Lowrance black boxes, they can be ran on higher than 12 volts. You can run them on a 24 volt system if you want.
Okay.
So instead of rigging your boat for 24 volts for your just electronics, we sell the visualizer, which is made by Performance Fishing Electronics, and it steps up your 12 volts to, what is it, 28?
It's 28 volts. So this is for a Humminbird system. They don't make one. They don't recommend one. We go off the manufacturer voltage specifications, and a Garmin and a Lowrance for the black box for their live scope and their active target can run on up to 32 volts. So this little number is a step-up converter that takes your 12-volt power supply. Because a lot of people you'll see, like I know a lot of guys who run Milwaukee 18-volt drill batteries for their live scope and stuff because they're trying to get more voltage. Because live scope, especially more than anything else, benefits from more voltage. But at the same time, even if you buy the biggest Milwaukee drill battery you can, you're probably burning through 2 of them throughout the day. You got to change them, reboot your live scope in the middle of a tournament, or say, we all forget stuff. Say you forget to charge your drill batteries, or you pull out of the house, you get to the lake, put the boat in the water. Shoot, I forgot my Milwaukee batteries. I can't run my live scope for the day. So this is one of the systems. And like I said, Nick and I try to preach redundancy and simplicity. So like I said, I run one 12-volt battery for all my electronics, but I have one of these. This steps up the voltage for my live scope from 12 to 28 volts. And it's just for the live scope. And a big thing people, overlook, I think, is the voltage on their Garmin. Like I said, I run a Garmin. I think it's a 1243 GPS map. And on my screen, it tells me I'm running like 13.2 volts throughout the day. This live scope, and this makes the live scope run 28 volts. The graph itself is on 13 volts. Your live scope, whether it's a Garmin, Lowrance, or a Humminbird, it's going to be powered by the voltage it gets in. It creates a video feed and it relays it to the fish finder. So the more voltage you can get from your live scope, the better it is. So it's simple. It's like the power cable. It's got the plug. This is an active target one for Lowrance. It's got the plug that goes into your active target box on one end. And on the other end, it's got a fuse and your red and black power wires to go to your 12-volt power source. So it's exactly like the power cable that comes in the box, except it has this box in line that steps up that voltage.
Nice.
Does that affect
So
the battery capacity or anything like that? Or are you still getting your 60 amp hours or whatever?
A tiny bit. So I think the fuse that comes in, and I don't know the amp draw off the top of my head, but I know the fuse that comes in a Garmin or a Lowrance is a 7.5 amp, and the fuse you want to put this is a 10 amp. So voltage, amperage, and watts are all related. So the more you increase voltage, the bigger amp draw you have, and then the wattage. It's all related. So to a minor degree, yes. And then when we're setting up a boat, that's something we consider, because I'll sit down and, like I said, I'll make a list of all your electronic devices, what the amp draw is, and then what power supply you need to hold that for a reasonable amount of time.
I guess my question's stemming, like, if I've got a 60 amp hour battery already, putting that in isn't going to impact that detrimentally, where I'm getting half the life out of my battery.
No, it won't be like insanely noticeable.
Okay.
Like, I mean, there would be a number that we'd be able to put to it, but it wouldn't be like, oh, I shouldn't get this because my battery isn't going to be able to handle it. Its benefits outweigh any extra power usage. Just, we've tried to do like a video on it where we can compare like a non visualizer unit with a visualizer unit, but it's kind of hard to find boats that have 2 black boxes on them where you can directly compare like the same image to it, because they would have to have 2 black boxes, 2 transducers, which people do. But
and you can, I think, one video on YouTube, and it's been around for a while. One of the popular original setups was it was called a Bandit, and it was something where people would take a spur off their trolling motor wires. So you'd have a 24 or 36 volt power supply, and you'd have something similar to this that stepped 24 or 36 down to 12, or but then again, you introduce a lot of chance for interference and reduced power for your trolling motor and reduced longevity for your trolling motor. There's a video on YouTube by Russell Marine Products, and I think it's involving one of those bandits from a few years ago that has a direct side-by-side comparison of a live scope on 12 volts and a live scope on 24 volts. And it's not, earth-shattering. It's not like you have to have it, but the sonar return is a lot brighter. It's a lot clearer. It helps you pick out targets a lot better. And especially if you fish somewhere like Alum Creek or somewhere like Lake Erie, a highly pressured fishery where, sometimes fish are suspended, but a lot of times they might be hugged tight right down on the seafloor. With my LVS 34 and my visualizer, I can actually see rocks, or I call them moving boulders. They're fish moving along the bottom. I can see moving back and forth. Where on an LVS 34 without it, or maybe an LVS 32, it just looks like the seafloor. So one of the big things is that target separation along the bottom that helps improve.
Yeah.
What's the cost? Like, what's something like that cost to add into a system?
So 160.
Oh,
Yeah,
not
160 bucks. I mean, there were a ton of people that were like keeping LVS 32, like first gen live scope, and not getting 34 because of how much better the visualizer made 32 look. Like it was enough to keep people, and it's something easy. Like if you're just trying to get the most out of those electronics, like that's just like an easy thing to add on, and you'll notice pretty instant differences between it. It helps new people learn. Like when I as soon as I bought my boat, I had one in there pretty quick, and it has definitely helped me figure out what I'm looking at.
Yeah, which is the biggest question usually. What am I looking at?
Yeah, I mean, I know damn well for the first month and a half, I was chasing crappie in like 50 feet of water.
Yeah,
just like enamored by it. I mean, I've had several sunburnt necks trying to figure that out, but always learning.
Yep.
Along those lines, do you guys help with settings and getting people dialed in that way?
Absolutely.
Because I think for Jesse and I, like, we both have it, we both use it. Neither of us are good at it, but and I think honestly, it's just because, like, I mean, I can see fish moving around down there. I can't tell what they are. And I think a lot of it, at least in my mind, comes down to the settings. Like maybe there's something I'm missing that I need to tweak or turn off. So I guess if someone buys it out of the box, do you guys have a recommendation? Like, don't mess with this, turn this thing on, adjust your gain to whatever, and this will get you 90% of where you need to be.
Yeah, and it differs for each brand. Obviously, they have different settings. They have different things you can do with them. I have a little cheat sheet I've made up, and I ran the Humminbird Mega Live for a little bit. I had LVS 32. I have LVS 34 now. I've tried to get personal firsthand experience with all of them, so no matter what you buy, I have an honest opinion and an honest recommendation on how to use it. So I have a little cheat sheet I usually print out and have them at the shop. So if somebody walks in, I can give them to them. Or if you come and get it installed, I can hand that to you. And it's all subjective, and it's all, a starting point. You can fine tune it from there. And that's why I'm a devout Humminbird person. Truly, I love Humminbird stuff for the 360. That's my favorite more than anything. Yeah. But I love their side imaging. I've just been a big fan of their interface and whatnot. But that's me. Everybody has their preference. It's hard to divulge from a Garmin LiveScope. It is by far the best. And if you want to actually be somebody who uses forward-facing sonar to a high degree, it offers the best, the highest possibility of what you can look at, because the Lowrance one's good out of the box. A Humminbird one, especially the Mega Live 2, is really good out of the box. The Garmin one is daunting for a lot of people because it has so many settings you can change, and you can mess up the picture really fast. On the flip side, you can fine tune it and get a lot more out of it because of how many settings it offers you.
Yeah. Yes. I'm right there with you, Patrick. I bought the Gen 1 Mega Live, and I had it for like 3 months and I got rid of it, and I've been Garmin ever since. It wasn't it for me. What I know the newest version's a lot better, but yeah, Humminbird fan myself. Other than forward facing.
Is that something you'd be willing to share with us that we can put on here? If not, we can just cut this section out.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'll be honest to a degree, and I'm lucky, and the reps I deal with let me talk the truth, and that's why we at Boat Things, I think, have the reputation we do. We do what we do, and we know what we know, so we try to convey that to everybody. And like many a time during Black Friday the last few years, I've referred a few people, like if a Garmin 93 SV is what you want for your boat, Cabela's has it on sale for $600 right now. I can't touch that price. We try to be honest, and we'll install it for you. We'll set it up, but if anything, we're honest to a fault, whether it helps or hurts us. So
yeah,
nice.
It's the only way to be, man. Is real. So yeah, love it.
Guys, we really appreciate you guys taking some time out to join us and just kind of talk a little bit about what you do and what we need to be doing to our boats and all the money we should be spending now.
Never
no,
ended.
we really appreciate you guys, and yeah, I mean, I'd love to come down and just have my boat gone through, or at least take a look at that new tackle shop and spend some money that way. But
that's that's a video we can do too. We can do that kind of stuff, going through a boat and explain why we do what we do too. We'd be more than happy to.
Yeah, dude, we'd love that. And yeah, Blacklick, Ohio, right? You guys are located at?
Yeah, I mean, it's really Columbus. We're like
Columbus,
8 minutes away from the airport.
Yeah.
You got
so we get to hear those things buzz us all day.
Nice. Well, you guys are doing a great job, doing what you're doing, and appreciate you guys coming on here. And I realized tonight that I really need to get my boat up to Boat Things, so we'll have to make that happen here, probably in the off season. Got a little more fishing to do here, but so yeah.
We're happy to take it. Thank you guys for having us.
No, man,
it was fun.
Yep. Hopefully it'll benefit you in some way and benefit some other people who listen in, and it taught me some stuff. Yeah. I'm always learning something.
Any listeners in the Columbus area?
Feel like I kind of nerded out tonight. I'm usually not smart enough to keep up with these conversations. So.
This is a red wire.
I'm tingling right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
All right, boys. Well, hey, thanks again, and we'll see you here soon.
All righty.
Awesome.
See you guys.
Thank you.
Stop being lazy. Hit the subscribe button.
If you don't subscribe, you hate puppies.
And watch the videos from start to finish. They're not that bad.